Usually they're prepared. I'll see. What's that? Here, somebody.
All right, good evening, and welcome to the Thursday, February 27th, 2020 meeting of the Xenia City Council. First is a call to order, and we are going to have an invocation tonight that's going to be led by our mayor, and a pledge of allegiance by Councilman Thomas Scrivens. If everyone would please rise.
Would you join me, please? Our gracious Lord, we are thankful for another day. It's a gift to have another day of life. And I pray, Father, that we would use the rest of this day well. I pray that we would use our words well, that we would think clearly and with discernment and wisdom. Help us to listen carefully, to be mindful of what we're taking in. Help us to be respectful of each other and to work well for our community. Thank you for this community. Thank you for the many people here. It is an honor and a privilege to serve them. And I pray that we would steward this community well. In your name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mayor Mays and Councilman Scrivens. Could I get a roll call, please?
Vice President Wallace,
Here.
Councilman Scrivens,
Here.
Councilwoman Dean,
Here.
Councilman Branham,
Here.
Councilman Dean,
Here.
Mayor Mays,
Here.
President Smith.
Here. Next on our agenda is approval of minutes. First is the minutes from our regular meeting on February 13th, 2020. Could I get an introduction, please?
Motion to
Or a
approve.
motion, I'm sorry. Motion to accept the minutes?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Scrivens. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Second by Vice President Wallace. Any comments or corrections on the minutes? Seeing none, roll call to accept.
Vice President Wallace,
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens,
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean,
Aye.
Councilman Branham,
Aye.
Councilman Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Mays,
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Next is approval of minutes from the February 15th, 2020 special meeting. Could I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, got a motion by Vice President Wallace. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Mayor Mays. Any comments, additions, or corrections on the minutes? And I would like to thank our council and our city staff for their investment in that all-day meeting. Thank you very much. Could I get a roll call, please?
Vice President Wallace,
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens,
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean,
Aye.
Councilman Branham,
Aye.
Councilman Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Mays,
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. First item on special presentations is by Greta Mayer? Okay, sorry about that. She's the CEO, Mental Health Recovery Board of Clark, Greene, and Madison counties. You're welcome to come to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, a few things to share with you. So you should have a handout at your place, our annual report. So good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be here to address you this evening, council members, city staff, and community members. My name is Dr. Greta Mayer, as you mentioned, and I'm CEO of the Mental Health Recovery Board, and we serve Clark, Greene, and Madison counties. And our fiscal year annual report has been released, and we just wanted to point out a few highlights from that. First, I want to give you just a brief overview of who we are and what we do. We're one of 50 boards across the state who are statutorily empowered to plan, develop, fund, and manage and evaluate the community-based, the public mental health and substance use system. And we exist to connect residents with the care community. We provide pathways to services for mental health and substance use concerns, and we facilitate delivery of quality care, and we do that with resources. We raise property tax revenue to help pay for those prevention, treatment, and recovery support services. So on the inside cover of the report, you'll see just a brief letter from me, and the prevention, treatment, and recovery support services, examples from those, we call that our continuum of care. Just some highlights, accomplishments are there. And what's important about that is that, you know, an individual who may have a substance use concern or a mental health issue may do so at any point in time and may need a certain service, and then later may need longer term supports and other services. So that's why it's important to have that continuum across, based on what the person needs at a given time, or a young person. And below the letter, there's just an overview of how we have board representation from all 3 counties. So we have 8 members from Greene County who are appointed by county commissioners, and the other half is appointed by our state department, Ohio Mental Health and Addiction Services. And they serve for 4-year terms. And we truly value representative across Greene County to make sure that local voices, community needs from across all of our areas are represented. And so that local voice is really important for us. One thing I just wanted to point out that you may be familiar with, I think Mayor Mays was involved with, we have a new board member who was appointed last year in the fall, Dr. Michael Schur from Cedarville University. He's the social work chair, and he had a group of students hold a focus group in Xenia. And I think Mayor Hayes may have attended, your name came up when he was filling me in on this. And so the question was around homelessness and the issue in Xenia. And so the students wrote a report about what the findings were by interviewing community members, that it is a growing concern, that the community seems ready to mobilize to address it. And in particular, our board, of course, is interested in hearing about those homeless individuals with mental illness and addiction. And so the students presented last month at our board meeting their report. And so we're going to use that as information in shaping what we may do in partnership with Xenia, the Xenia community, to address homelessness. So that's just an example of the kinds of things that we do. So appreciate that. So you'll notice on the right side our funding sources. We are overwhelmingly funded by local levy, about 70%. Every year is the levy revenue that we generate, and we draw down state and federal dollars. But the local dollars are more flexible and can fill gaps that state and funding won't fill. And you'll notice that below that, there's a circle of different system partners. So while we contract the funding that we provide and the planning that we do, we work directly with over 20 contract care providers that deliver those prevention, maybe school-based services or treatment in the community, like TCN, behavioral health, or women's recovery. You may hear of some of these places. So we fund a portion of their services, and then we work with them, but we also work with all those different community groups, just like you work with the criminal justice system and education, and all those system partners are really important. The business community, for example, a drug-free workforce. We have a special partnership with Clark State and employers. So all of those different groups are important to work with so that we can have healthy and well people in Greene County. So finally, on the back page, this you may want to keep handy or share with family and friends. Those are the contracted agencies that we enter into this relationship every year, so that we can prioritize those who don't have health insurance or maybe can't afford the treatment services or other supportive services. That's where we prioritize funding and services. So there's crisis numbers at the bottom. So I just encourage you, if you don't know who those agencies are, to look them up in their website so you can become familiar with them. And we just love to be a resource to you. So that's my purpose in being here today. So if you have any questions for you, I'd be happy to entertain any of those.
Great, thank you. Do we have any questions from our council?
I do have one, that is, if it's not too much to ask, is it possible to get a copy of that report that was prepared by the Cedarville folks? I know we could request it
Absolutely.
directly from them,
Yes.
but since they presented it to your board,
Yes.
I'd like to see that. And
Absolutely.
And of course, if any initiatives have been started as a result of that report, and I understand it's just a month old, I'd like to know that as well.
Okay,
And
absolutely.
I do appreciate, as president of the TCN board, I appreciate
Yes.
the funding and the support that you all have given us
Thank you.
all the time. And we couldn't make it without you.
Well, we wouldn't have the continuum of care without TCN. You're our largest care provider, so thank you for your service on their board, because that's important. Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Should I get that to Who should I get
If
that
you get
report
it
to?
to Mr. Merriman, he'll get it
Mr.
to
Mayor?
us.
Okay, thank you.
Do
will
we have
do
any
that.
other comments or questions?
Mr. President, just a
Yes, sir.
quick comment. I just want to acknowledge what the agency does in terms of representation with the board. They do a great job, and specifically point out Mr. Scott Anger is a local representative here from Greene County. Scott is, of course, a former Xenia Police Division captain, still works
Absolutely.
with the Greene County Sheriff's Office. And that's just great membership addition to the board because he brings such diversity of experience that touch these areas, but brings a unique perspective from the law enforcement community as well. So it's just a good thing to see a variety of disciplines represented. The area of services you're providing, obviously, it's a spectrum of issues. And so having some diversity of thought with the board leadership is really valuable. So just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. He'll appreciate that too. I'll let him know. Thank you.
All right. On behalf of the council, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you again
Tony.
for your time. I know it's
Appreciate your
valuable.
presentation.
Thank you.
All right. Next on our list of special presentations is Ms. Gail Matson, President of Zinnia Area Fish Food Pantry.
Hello, everyone. I just want to say thank you for letting me come up and talk. I'm always out pleading my cause and my case. We are the biggest pantry in Greene County. Currently, we serve all of Greene County except Fairborn, only because we do not have the storage capacity to be able to serve them, because it would increase our business probably by about 50%. After we're trying to get into a new building. Once we get there, we will serve all of Greene County. Currently, we serve about 800 families a month. They are allowed to come back every 3 weeks. We have Kroger grocery carts. They walk out of there with that packed full. They get to choose. It's just like shopping at a grocery store. They walk in, they get meat and dairy and dry goods and canned goods. And we also have fresh vegetables and fruits that we pick up from Kroger's and Walmart every week. Last year alone, from Kroger's and Walmart, we picked up 31,000 from Walmart pounds and 29,000 pounds from Kroger. So that's a big plus, just the community supporting us alone. And we are in the process of moving to a new location, and that's why I'm out stumping and trying to get, I'm not asking for money so much as I am support, in that there's plenty of people here that knows somebody. It's like the 6 branches of Kevin Bacon or whatever. There's things we need. We are gathering money to get the new building fixed. We've already got the new doors, new windows, painting, the floor. That's what we consider to be phase 1, and it was handled by the community block grant that the county helped us get. We have phase 2, which is going to involve putting in a handicap bathroom, knocking out a wall to put in a donated freezer cooler of 20 by 40 feet. It's huge. For us, it's just beyond belief, because we can put in 20 skids of items in the cooler and in the freezer. And for us, that's probably triple the amount of space we have now. We only have commercial freezers that we have to lift boxes up into them now. So far, we funded everything we have on our radar at the moment, but we are looking at heating and air conditioning. That's a big building, 7,200 square feet. And 5,000 of it will be where we serve the public, and it currently has no air conditioning or anything. So we have to put some in, and they're working up a proposal for that now. And those are things that I'm going to be out stumping for money for, or help or donations or whatever I can get on those lines. But there's other smaller items that I'm looking for. Anybody that might know somebody that might be willing to help us, or put me in touch with somebody that would offer us a discount or whatever we can get. The county has been good to us. They have taken on all the expenses since '93. We have had no utilities or anything. So we will be looking at utilities down there. We will have to pay heat, electric, and trash and water. So those are things that have added about, I'd say, we're estimating, they said 17,000 for a year. We're hoping around 12,000, because we're a lot more conservative with heat and electric. We're very mindful of turning the furnace down and turning the lights off when we're not there. So we're hoping that will be, a smaller amount. But we do need, we have parking lot work, there's potholes in there, big ones. We have to smooth out the surface in front of the doors for the handicap so that it'll be handicap accessible. We also need a motorized pallet jack to be able to lift pallets from our food bank truck down to the floor. We don't have a loading dock down there. And we considered a forklift, but if we get a forklift, we'll have to train someone and they have to be certified, whereas a pallet jack, we would not. And more people could be readily used. We're also building raised gardens out front to provide our own vegetables in the summer. We're looking for enough gravel to cover the area where we're gonna put the beds, 800 cement blocks. Those are just for that section of the project. We, like I said, the air conditioning is something that I'm still waiting on prices. It's scaring me to death, but I'm gonna keep the faith that something will come through. And like I said, what I'm looking for mostly is just to be able to reach out and everybody that knows somebody can spread the word that we are in need. We can use your donations, we can use your help, in-kind services. We are strictly a volunteer organization. We have 109 volunteers on the roster currently, and that takes just about all of those to populate 1 month on the schedule, because we have the snowbirds that leave in the winter, and then those that leave in the summer, and then there's some that just get old enough that they quit. We have actually 2 volunteers that are 91, 92, and they still come out all the time and volunteer. We try to make allowances for people that can't stand for 4 hours. They can hand out vegetables or bread, and they are the best ones to tell people how to cook. And I recognize the homeless situation because our homeless numbers have increased dramatically. We try to give them things that they can't have anything that needs to be refrigerated, so we try to tuna packs, the little kind you can tear open, they don't need can openers, fruit packs, Jello pudding, breakfast bars, those kind of things we pack, and soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, and bags that we give them. But the homeless is become a real issue, and we are hoping, like I said, to be in the new building by May, all fingers crossed. And if anybody has an in with the zoning commission, please tell them that we really need to be rezoned quickly. Until I get the rezoning permit, I can't get a building permit final, and I can't get my occupancy permit. But they have, Brian said that he would work with everybody to let us go ahead and work until we get everything taken care of and then down to that final wire. But that will mainly depend on when we get to move in. We're shooting for May, fingers crossed if we get the rezoning done, and we'll be ready to go. Any questions?
Should someone watching tonight on television or in the audience, if they want to make a donation to the
We have a
Fish Food
website.
Pantry, how do you do that?
We have a website. If you want money or to volunteer, it's fishfoodpantry.org. And if they are, we're still at 541 Ledbetter Road, or P.O. Box 113, Xenia, Ohio, 45385.
Can we get that on the city website?
Yeah, not only that, I think we can look at doing some postings on our social media, which is probably our best outreach platform, to give them a little bit more exposure and see what that can generate.
And 76% of the people that come to our pantry come from the 45385 zip code. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yes, sir.
Where will your new building be located?
774 Cincinnati Avenue. It used to be the old Parks and Recreation building, the old recycle building, the old county garage building. It's an old building. But it's, like I said, we have 2,200 square feet where we're at now. We'll have 7,200 square feet there. It triples our space.
Anyone else?
I just wanted to congratulate you on the work that you're doing. I know that this is not the same, but most people don't know that Gail also volunteers on Thanksgiving Day and runs the kitchen. She shows up Wednesday night, peels potatoes, and gets the kitchen ready, and then prepares and helps prepare all the food for the Thanksgiving Community Day meal. So this is a woman who is deeply committed to this community, and she's not kidding when she says she's gonna keep beating down doors till she gets things done, because she's a go-getter and she loves this community. So thank
Yeah.
you, Gail, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And just the thought of feeding 800 people a month is,
That's 100 people a day. And
That's
we're open
remarkable.
2 days a week from 11 to 3 on Wednesday and Thursday. So we're averaging about 100 people a day.
that's remarkable.
It
And
is
we-
when you keep the food.
We thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Many of you may or may not know, our city hosts a class called our Citizens Academy Group. Tonight in the audience, there are several members from that class. And not to put you on the spot, but for those that are possibly watching, can you stand? And I'd like to invite you to come to the podium and give us your name. And if you'd like to be recognized, great. If not, we'll move on. But for our benefit, could you stand if you're with that Citizens Academy group? Thank you very much.
I spent a lot of time with these folks, and here they are again tonight, so we do want to
They're
thank them.
Probably sick of seeing you.
Probably. Probably.
Very good, okay. We've come to the next portion of our agenda, which is audience comments. This is the opportunity for anyone like to come forward and address the city council. We would just ask for you to give us your name, address for the record. Limit your comments 2 to 3 minutes, please. Last chance. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Moving on is old business. First item we have is an ordinance 2020-03, a second reading. This is amending Part 16 titled Fire Prevention Code and repealing Section 298.01, Table E.12, and 298.01 of the codified ordinance of the city of Xenia. And this was introduced by Mayor Mays at our last meeting.
Thank you, sir. I will go ahead and move for passage.
Thank you. Move for passage. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Wallace. Do we have any comments, questions on the second reading?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to thank the law director for, I know she did extremely a lot of work to get all this recodified. So when you get to moving sections and creating new sections, it's really something. And I just want to say thank you to her for all her efforts.
Thank you very much. So noted. Any other comments? All right. Roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace,
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens,
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean,
Aye.
Councilman Branham,
Aye.
Councilman Dean. Aye. Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Item B, Resolution 2020-B, a second reading, amending Resolution 2019-N, appointing members to the City of Xenia Charter Review Commission. And this was introduced by Vice President Wallace at our last meeting.
And I now move the passage.
Thank you. Move for passage by Vice President Wallace. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Dean. Any comments or questions on this?
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Normally, I'd be jumping at the chance to vote for myself, but in this instance, I will be abstaining.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other questions or comments, roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace,
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens,
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean,
Oh,
Aye.
I'm sorry, I'm abstaining, I'm sorry.
He's been appointed,
It's not a paid position. There's no ethical violation for you to vote for yourself, so that's not an
I'm
issue.
still going to abstain.
Okay. Can we reflect that?
Councilwoman Dean,
Aye.
Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Councilman Dean. Aye. Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Next is Resolution 2020-C, a second reading, authorizing a 3-year lease of 5.04 acres of city-owned land adjacent to the wastewater treatment plant on Lower Belbrook Road to Douglas B. Soward. And this was introduced by Vice President Wallace at our last meeting.
And I'll move for passage.
Thank you. Move for passage. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilman Branham. Comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor May.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next is Resolution 2020-D, also a second reading. This is requesting the advance payment of 2019 tax settlements for the Greene County Auditor, and this was introduced by Councilman Scrivens at our last meeting.
Mr. President, I'd move passage.
Thank you. Move for passage. Do we have a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by the mayor. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor May.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Next is a public hearing. This is for a Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Small Cities Program for 2020. And at this time, I am going to open the public hearing and ask anyone that would like to speak in favor of this recommendation to come forward. Give us your name, address for the record. Limit your comments 2 to 3 minutes, please. All right, seeing no one come forward, I would like to invite anyone who would like to speak against the CDBG grant dollars. All right, seeing no one come forward against, I would like to invite anyone who would like to come forward to either speak neither for or against the CDBG block grant. All right, I will close the public hearing. Before we go to roll call, I'd ask if any council members have any questions or comments.
President Smith, there's no actual action on this
Okay.
tonight. The Community Development Block Grant requires 2 public hearings, a general one, which you've done tonight.
Okay.
There's a project-specific public hearing then scheduled for April 23rd, as is required under this date, but there's no actual action for you to take
Okay,
this evening.
thank you very much.
We also
Okay.
have 2 additional informational sessions open to the public. Those are on February 21st at 10 a.m. and March 4th at 4 p.m. Both of those information sessions are open to the public right here in the council chambers.
All right.
What were the dates again? I'm sorry.
It is February 21st, well, that actually would
We
have
have
already
that
occurred. The additional remaining one is March 4th at 4 p.m. Again, that'll be here.
Page 2.
That's next
Okay, we're
Tuesday.
gonna go back in time and reopen.
That's next
Thought maybe
Wednesday.
I missed something.
All right, thank you very much. Next is new business. Our first item A, is Ordinance 2020-04, titled Emergency. This is amending Ordinance 2020-01 to provide appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the city of Xenia for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency. Mr. Finance Director, please.
Thank you, Council President. Council's aware of the project to occur here in the spring at the Shawnee Park Playground. There's an agenda item later this evening requesting an award to a contractor for equipment. And in order to facilitate that, we would need to appropriate some additional dollars, $24,987 in Fund 601 and $10,482 in Fund 603. These are not local tax dollars that are being spent. They're dollars in a grant fund with some program income, some dollars that are unrestricted that we can use for this project. So it's a good use of some dollars that we have available in those funds, but are not local dollars being spent on the playground. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. I'd like to remind everyone that this is for our showcase park in the city, Shawnee Park, well-known. I'd like to spotlight that park. We have a lot of good amenities going on there, and this is simply an investment towards that. Any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
We need-
Oh, I'm
You
sorry, we
need
need
a
a motion.
motion.
Okay.
I so move
Going
as an
ahead,
emergency.
trying to get through. I need a motion, please.
I'll motion as an emergency.
Motion as an emergency by Mayor Mays. Can I get a second,
I'll
please?
second that.
And a second by Councilman Dean. Thank you very much. All right, since we had no comments, roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye, thank you
Motion
very
carried.
much. Next, item B is Resolution 2020-E, which is an introduction. This is establishing street lighting district number 4 within the Greenway subdivision, Section 2 replat, declaring the necessity of improving city streets and public ways within street lighting district 4 by the lighting thereof for the years 2021 through 2022. Mr. City Manager, please explain.
Thank you, sir. The city's land development code requires the developer of a subdivision that is interested in including streetlights within that subdivision to agree to the streetlight assessment or to a streetlight assessment to cover the cost of those improvements that would be added. Accordingly, BSM Greenway LLC, the developer for the Greenway subdivision Section 2 replat, has received a cost to install 2 streetlights along with the associated fees for that service. Through Miami Valley Lighting, the developer is responsible for the initial cost of the installation, and pursuant to our code, the city then takes responsibility for the monthly electric cost for that service, as we've been doing for many years with streetlights around the city. Adoption of the presented resolution of necessity to establish street lighting district number 4 will result in the streetlight assessment being included on the individual lot owner's property tax duplicate from the Greene County Auditor. For the development as mentioned, we're recommending a 2-year period on the assessments for this, as this would allow us to align with the street lighting districts 1 through 3, which also expire in 2022. So this will have all those expiration the same year, which is convenient for us and the auditor. Staff is recommending introduction of the resolution of necessity this evening for the new district.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have introduction? Anyone like to introduce this?
I'll introduce it.
All right, introduced by Vice President Wallace. Thank you very much. Next is item C, also, which is an administrative motion. This authorizes the city manager to execute contracts for the purchase of a tandem dump truck chassis and for a snowplow unit through the State of Ohio DAS Cooperative Purchasing Program at a cost not to exceed $188. That's $187,188. Mr. City Manager.
And that's just the chassis?
Thank you, Senator. That is for the chassis as well as the attached equipment. The city, of course, operates several of these tandem dump truck units. They are critical frontline pieces of equipment for our operations, for various operations within the Public Service Department. We have instructed our staff to take great care with our equipment, to extend the life of things like these tandem dump trucks, because they are expensive to replace. At some point, however, replacement is going to be required, and we have reached that point for this particular piece of equipment. It's a casualty of road salt, in large part, that is corrosive to the vehicles. Our equipment mechanic reports that the fuel tank, oil pans, and mounting bolts of various accessories in particular have become rusted out. The exhaust gas recirculator cooler is leaking internally, which results in the engine consuming the coolant, which becomes an obvious problem over time. The exhaust support pipe has become cracked to the point where it can no longer be welded. The tailgate latch air valve is leaking along. I could go on here. It's in the agenda report. There's a pretty significant litany of things. In a nutshell, the vehicle is no longer safe, efficient, or reliable for our operations. So we are requesting replacement of the unit. We pushed this back a couple years already, but we've included $225,000 in funding in both the 5-year CIP as well as this year's budget for the purchase of this replacement. The purchase is being funded through our sewer capital fund for this particular vehicle. If authorized, the chassis will be purchased from Stoops Freightliner in the amount of $91,362, and the rest of the snowplow unit, so forth, will be purchased from Henderson Products at a cost of $95,826. These are both purchases be made through the Ohio Department of Administrative Services Cooperative Purchasing Program. Upon delivery of the new vehicle, the old tandem axle dump truck will be offered for sale at auction, so we'll dispose of that equipment.
Thank you very much. Just to comment that these are funds coming from 665 fund, which is our sewer fund. It's not out of the general capital fund. So I need a motion to make the purchase.
So moved.
The mayor.
I'll move.
Okay. Got a motion by Mayor Mays.
And
Do we have a second?
I think I heard Brother Mr. Scrivens,
Councilman Scriven?
Yes,
Would you like to make that second?
No, I also have a
Thank you
question.
very much.
he has a
I
question.
have a second by Councilman Scrivens, and I'll turn the floor over. Do you have a question or comments?
Question. Mr. Berger? Thank you, sir. What was the useful life of the equipment that we're retiring? How long have we had it?
Well, let's see, I believe that vehicle, the current tandem is a late 90s, I think it actually might be a 2002 comes to mind. I don't know specifically, and certainly I could find out.
It's close.
But, you know, when you're talking nearly 20 years, and as the city manager alluded to, of salt in particular, year after year, you know, we've been, trying to extend the life as much as possible. And, you know, our next item right there is another example that we keep putting off and putting off and putting off. And we keep throwing good money after bad with just trying to maintain it. So, you know, we don't bring this kind of stuff to you guys without darn good reason. And so I want to say like 2002, but I certainly can find out for you. And,
So we're looking at 10 to 15 years.
oh, absolutely.
Oh, 15 plus.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Is this the old Brime truck?
yes,
Okay.
yes. It's one of them, yes.
So you've got some knowledge that we don't have, Mr. Branham?
Well, we've got Ryan out of the public service department, so our vehicle should last a little longer.
Any other comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Branham?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Next is an administrative motion authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement to purchase a John Deere 624L wheel loader from Murphy Tractor and Equipment through the State of Ohio DAS Cooperative Purchasing Program at a cost not to exceed $146,022.80. Mr. City Manager.
Well, as we mentioned, similar to the tandem dump, in the prior item, the Public Service Department is in need of replacing the wheel loader. We also call it our front end loader. The loader is a unique piece of equipment for us, which plays an important role in timely and safe loading of materials that include salt, gravel, things of that nature for street operations, water and sewer operations as well. Given the cost of this equipment, as I indicated previously, we've ordered that we, try to extend the life. We've put this off for the past 2 seasons, included in the budget this year, and the staff has pushed back pretty hard that it's time to replace this piece of equipment. Our, again, equipment mechanic notes a number of maladies with the existing loader. I'm not going to read through all of these, but we try to detail some of these and certainly have made available through the maintenance reports. It's time based on the number of issues we have with this. Of note, though, that looking for it here, there's a particular problem in that the boom and the bucket keep locking up, which presents a real safety hazard for us. So, given that the Public Service Department received a favorable price from Murphy Tractor and Equipment, we are requesting that we move forward with the replacement and a trade-in of the loader, totaling $35,000 on the trade-in. I'll note that we evaluated trade-in last year. I think it was $53,000 last year. Another year of wear and tear, you can see that the trade-in value is reduced quite a bit. So that would go toward that, offsetting that purchase price. We had $210,000 across 4 funds: our general fund, water and sewer capital, and stormwater capital funds for the loader's replacement this year. So if authorized this evening, we would purchase the replacement through the Cooperative Purchasing Program, again from Murphy Tractor and Equipment, in the amount of $146,022.80.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager.
Mr. President, I'll move the approval on that.
Okay. Got a motion by Vice President Wallace. Second, please.
Second.
Second by Councilman Scrivens. Any comments or questions regarding the purchase?
The only thought I have is that for both this piece of equipment and the dump truck, was that the idea of Band-Aid, which is not a good analogy because Band-Aids wouldn't cut it. We've done as much as we can do for as long as we can do it. with both these pieces of equipment, and we've just got to do it, especially when you mention that safety has become a factor, because a death or an injury would be
Right.
catastrophic, and we just don't want that at all.
And also tremendous reliability concerns. You know, when we need this
Exactly.
equipment the most, it's often inclement conditions or conditions where we're having to go out and address something critically importantly in the field. So reliability is important. And just for the edification of the audience, you know, this is a specialized piece of equipment in that it's designed for these front-end loading purposes. And we've had conversations, could we make use of a backhoe or something like that? Could you do it? Yeah. Could you do it safely and effectively? Probably not. This is designed for this purpose. And again, we've put this off for a number of years, and there's a cost of doing business, and sometimes you have to replace equipment.
Thank you very much. Mr. City Manager, any other comments or questions?
President, real quick.
Yes, sir.
My recommendation, just for staff purposes, I loved the last council meeting when the police department broke out, hey, this is the year of it, this is the hours, this is the of course, one has miles, the other doesn't. So I just, going forward, I really appreciate just hours, years,
Yep.
when did we purchase it, kind of thing, be provided in these write-ups.
We can certainly do that, because again, for the public's information, we look at not just the year or mileage, but hours, especially on diesel equipment. Oftentimes, we're not driving a significant distance, but the number of hours on the equipment has a lot of wear and tear.
Exactly.
But absolutely, we can make sure that we're consistent in some of that information equipment.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Branham?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next is an administrative motion. This is authorizing the city manager to execute work order numbers 2020-01 and 2020-03 with Wood Environment and Infrastructure Solutions Incorporated for landfill post-closure groundwater monitoring and rate and extent groundwater monitoring for 2020 under the existing master services agreement. Mr. City Manager.
Our closed landfill is not one of our favorite topics to discuss, but it is necessary, and staff is requesting that the city continue its relationship with Wood Environmental and Infrastructure Solutions Incorporated, in this case to complete the required landfill post-closure ground monitoring for 2020. They have a substantial body of knowledge, that is Wood Environmental, given their work at the site, and that offers just an opportunity for us to have a high degree of confidence in what they're doing. The biannual groundwater monitoring required by Ohio EPA is part of this, but in addition, we are required to complete the rate and extent groundwater monitoring, easy for me to say, here in 2020. The rate and extent groundwater monitoring includes the installation of temporary monitoring wells along the southern and western boundaries of our closed landfill. The installation of these monitoring wells and the subsequent monitoring will reveal any potential groundwater hazards leaving the property boundaries of the landfill so that we can identify this and address it in the future as needed. The price quotation provided by Wood Environment and Infrastructure for the groundwater monitoring project is $33,892. For the rate and extent monitoring, it's $28,693. Both services would be provided under the 2012 Master Services Contract with an extension. Staff is recommending the admin motion this evening to allow that work with the vendor to move forward.
All right, thank you, Mr. City Manager. I'll entertain a motion to accept.
So moved, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Councilman Dean. We have a second, please.
I'll second it.
Second by Vice President Wallace. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Branham?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Next is also an administrative motion. This is authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Mid-States Recreation utilizing the NPP Gov Cooperative Procurement Organization for construction of a new playground at Shawnee Park in an amount not to exceed $155,673.50. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. Council will recall at prior sessions in November last year and February of this year that it authorized purchase of new playground equipment for Shawnee Park. It's necessary at this time to move forward with action to authorize a contract for the construction to install the new equipment in the rubberized surface as was designed. The city received a quote from Mid-States Recreation, which notably is the supplier of this particular playground equipment, for grading and site preparation, drainage, and installation of the playground equipment and the rubberized safety surface. Staff is recommending moving forward with Mid-State as they are an entity contracted with NPP Gov, which of course provides for competitive bidding, so we have assurance that there's a competitive bidding process, we're getting a good deal. And the fact that they have familiarity with equipment, which is really beneficial for the installation. We feel like we can save both time and money for the city by taking this approach and going with Mid-States. The scope of Mid-States services does not include demolition of the existing equipment or paving of the planned walking path. For cost containment purposes, we're committing city maintenance crews to do that demolition work, and Butler Asphalt would do the paving of the paths at a cost of $19,530.95. We bid that separately. It's under the $25,000 threshold, so we solicited quotes for that purpose. So construction will include all elements of the project labeled as Phase 1 in the packet attachment. The construction drawings are there. This would also include the additional bike spur, contrabass chimes, and the double-decker cone spinner. I sound as though I'm an expert on this, as well as the surrounding rubberized surface from the Phase 2 portion of the plan. City will continue to seek alternative sources for funding the remaining elements. That includes the toddler playground and surfacing, zip line, and hillside. So that would be a Phase 2, and hopefully we can find resources to finish that. So again, for this portion of it, the funding of this construction is coming through a recently awarded NatureWorks grant that the city was able to receive. We do have a local match for a portion of that. We're also using CDBG revolving loan proceeds as indicated in the earlier agenda item. So if approved this evening, we would start our construction next month. So we're excited to bring this to fruition.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. For those of you that have been on council for several years, we have talked about this for 2 to 3 years. Did a tour, visited the facility, and we have always tried to put this on the back burner at a point where safety is paramount for the children in our community. So at this time, I'll seek a motion for approval of the purchase.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Mays, and a second, please.
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Dean. Any comments or questions regarding this?
Excited, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank the city planner and his staff for the work that they did procuring the grant money for this. Nothing good or nothing bad lasts forever, and apparently the useful life of this equipment has come to its useful life. So I'm glad to see new equipment going in, and Shawnee Park is our signature park, and only the best. So thank you for that.
Thank you for those comments. Councilman Scrivens, any other comments?
I think Councilman Dean joked before that he actually played on this playground equipment as a child, so things come full circle now. And I can tell it's time to replace it.
Too, so it's old.
We'll say it's old for sure.
You know, and my comment, you know, I used to live next to Shawnee Park and moved at 98 onto Edison. And unless you have small children, you really don't realize the amenities we have sometimes in our community, and that's a lovely park. And I just want to say to staff, you guys do everything you can to overturn every stone in our budget to find dollars that we can utilize for projects, being either matching grant funds or something. So I'd like to also thank city staff for your work on this project, and I think it's a win for the community. You know, of course, it's money we don't want to spend, but you get what you pay for. And I think this is a good investment in our children. Mayor
Just
Mays.
reiterate what you said. Thank you, Mr. Forshner, for the work you've done. Thank you for allowing me to have a voice in it. And I really appreciate the time. You've put a lot of time into this and a lot of thought, and I appreciate it and I respect it.
Yeah, we was talking about this back in 2018, so.
Thank you. And I think we should have had Councilman Dean reiterate this, because He's played on this equipment most
Well, so
recently,
that's
right?
Councilwoman then.
Yeah, we're just
Phase
kidding.
two.
Well, I didn't play on it,
Yeah,
but my children and grandchildren and now great-grandchildren are.
yeah,
I still
thank
take my
you.
nieces and nephews down
I
there to
played,
play.
yeah. I will say, also a past public service employee, John Houston, would be very proud
Yes, he would.
that this is going through. He cared greatly about our parks. He was a fine gentleman. I had the luxury of working next to him, but he did pass away of cancer. But I know he's looking down thinking, hey, it's about time, Xenia, we need to move this direction. So,
That's good.
Thank you very much for those comments. Roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Branham.
aye.
Councilman Dean. Aye. Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Next is an administrative motion, which is approving the schedule of bills in the amount of $386,782.58. Mr. Finance Director.
Thank you, Council President. I have nothing specific to reference on the bills this evening.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to accept the approval of bills?
Need to make a motion before we question. I'll move approval
Okay,
on payment.
okay, thank you. We have a motion to pay the bills by Vice President Wallace. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Dean. Any questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I see drone cameras are expensive, replacement of drone cameras, and replacement of refurbished propellers on drone cameras are expensive also. So owning a drone is an expensive situation. Page 3 with the repair of the camera, and forget which page here was the propellers that had to get refurbished. But we see we have a good piece of equipment, but it's a high cost to maintain that bad fella. One question, enrollment management services on page 4, who and what is that?
Enrollment Management Services is the company responsible for managing our opt-out program related to our health insurance.
For your health
program.
insurance?
Yes.
Okay. Just didn't know how that fit in. And I see that we're back on board with Greene County Animal Control. Now, is that to the expense of Advanced Wildlife Management, or do we still have contract with them?
They're separate contracts, so we still provide services for any nuisance animal calls through Advanced Wildlife Management.
Okay.
The expenses that we pay relative to Greene County are mostly for cats. So I will tell you that this is something actually the Assistant City Manager's been working on. They do a nice job for what they do, but we've just had to do some additional follow-up on billing and so forth. I think there's some improvement, and I think they can do a little bit better job of record keeping. I just think we want to make sure that what we're paying for is expenses that are being generated from our residents. So that's something we are actually in the process of looking at. I'll also mention, since Councilman Scrivens brought up the drone program, there are some rather expensive accessories. We're not talking many tens of thousands, but thousands of dollars as part of that program. This is a program here in Greene County. There are different, within our public safety sphere, different programs that provide services to the entire county. This is one of the services that we provide to all of Greene County. There are other services that provide water rescue, or just unique things, so that we're not all duplicating the equipment. And that way, we all share those resources, share those services, so they're available when we need them, but not each jurisdiction is paying for it. So this is a service that the city of Xenia has not only been a leader here in Greene County, but in the region. We've had several life-save situations with the drone program. But the equally important, the other aspect of this program that I think brings a lot of value, the equipment we have with the drones allow us in a lot of situations where we have someone hold up, a SWAT situation, so forth, to have a bird's eye view to be able to monitor a situation, which helps keep our officers safe. So, again, we're mindful of those expenditures, and we hope that targeting these expenditures in a way that provides for life safety is something that yields a lot of return in the big picture of things. So.
Thank you, sir. And one more question, Mr. President. Page 7, third from the bottom, the Ohio Alcohol Monitoring. Could you explain that just a bit, please?
Yeah, so the court actually collects fees specifically for this purpose, and so the Fund 212 that you see, there's actually a fund specifically dedicated to that alcohol treatment, and those dollars have to be spent on programs for alcohol treatment or to install devices, like something that you would blow into, for example, for your car to start, those types of measures. So those are court fines receipted directly into that fund for those purposes.
And those are required and dictated under state law, under the criminal law of the state.
And one final one, Mr. President. Page 8, fourth one up from the bottom. Is that our regular, is that about average for what we do or not?
For the indigent burial?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most of our contractors have been at about 750. Those prices have been going up. We try to control that. At the end of the day, we're a little bit beholden to, situationally, what's available to us. But that's a little higher than what it typically is, but that is well within the range. For us to pay $750 is a pretty good deal. Most of the quotes we received are over $1,000.
And this is for an actual burial, this is not?
No, this is just for cremation.
Just cremation.
This is just for cremation. Yep.
I had a citizen to have asked me about this type of thing, and we had found service for $585.
Yeah, so the other factor on some of these, I just have to put it bluntly, the size of the individual
Right,
also
that's what
can
they told
increase
me.
the cost, yeah.
Okay. All right,
There's no other way to put it than to be
Yeah,
blunt.
yeah. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you very much. All right, get a roll call, please.
Vice President Walsh?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Branham?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Hi.
President Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. We're going to pass on 11 for a minute, just for the sake of the television audience. And we're going to go ahead and go to appointed officials' reports and council comments. Mr. City Manager?
Yeah, the only thing tonight is just to acknowledge the Folksmore Citizens Academy here. We've got a great group. They've been extremely participative, a lot of great questions, good discussion. Hopefully they're learning a little bit of something. We invite them to encourage other members of our community to participate in Citizens Academy. It's a good opportunity to come up close and personal with what the city's doing business-wise, operation-wise. So again, we thank them for their participation, and we've got a tour at the water plant coming up, tour at the wastewater plant, fire station, as well as our Justice Center here in the next week or two. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that program, too. All right, Mr. Finance Director?
I have nothing else to share this evening.
All right, thank you very much. Madam Law Director?
I have nothing this evening, thank you, sir.
Okay, nothing right now. Mayor Mays?
I just wanted to thank, there's a couple of people I wanted to thank and congratulate. Marcia Bayless, our previous mayor, she put together a celebration service this past Sunday to celebrate Black History Month, and she invited other churches and their choirs to come and participate, and I was allowed to sing in the community choir, and it was just a great program. It was, a lot of people put a lot of effort into it, and Marcia still has such a heart for this community and seeing the community work together, so I wanted to thank her and say she did a great job. I also wanted to mention Kate Tiffany. She is a teacher out at the Career Center. She did a project, she's a government teacher, did a project with her students, and I found out about it because my inbox was flooded with emails from students suddenly. And so I gave her a call just to first tell her that's fantastic that your students are speaking up. And she arranged so that I had a chance to come out and actually have a conversation with the students and talk about some of their concerns and the things that they're processing through. And I was very blunt with them. I got more emails from them than I've gotten from adults over the last couple years, and it was great questions, and we had some really honest conversation. So those students, if you're watching, you guys did a phenomenal job. You worked hard, you thought through what you wanted to say, and I wanted to thank them for their dialogue, and thank this teacher, Miss Tiffany is doing a great job out there with those kids. You could tell they appreciated her, that they respected her, and they were learning something. So a couple other meetings this week, a lot of early mornings at Coffee Hut over the last couple weeks, but that's all I've got.
Thank you very much. We'll move to Councilwoman Dean.
I don't have anything tonight.
Nothing tonight. Thank you. Councilman Branham.
No comments.
Thank you very much. Councilman Scrivens.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple items. One, condolences expressed for the family of Mr. Raymond Buck James, who was a one-time employee here in the city in the engineering department. He's gone on to his final reward, and they're having his home going tomorrow at the Methodist Church there in Jamestown. So,
Saturday.
is it Saturday?
Saturday.
Saturday? Okay, sorry about that. And also congratulate everyone who's been participating in the Citizens Academy. It's just amazing that most citizens don't want to learn anything, but you guys do, and you have, and we're proud of you for that. And hopefully we can pass that along to other citizens, and they can become a little more active and a little more knowledgeable about local government. Local government is what serves you the most, because we're right here where the rubber meets the road. So get to know your public officials and take an active role in government. That's what participatory democracy is about. With that, Mr. President, I go back. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Scriven. Councilman Dean.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no comments.
All right, thank you. Vice President Wallace.
I have no comments tonight either.
All right, thank you very much.
I didn't get to make the Sunday program because my my male chorus was in Dayton and singing there. So.
Thank you very much.
We had a break.
In light of the fact that this year we have February 29th coming up, I'd like to wish everybody a happy leap year. And I'm glad for that extra day. Our city staff is extremely busy. I thank them all the time for the work that they do. I'm glad this extra day is there. It falls on the weekend. For you.
They're glad that they have to work another day.
Yeah. So next, I would entertain a motion for council to go into executive session. And I would like to explain for those that are on the television audience that after this motion, the cameras will stop. Council may come back with an action or may not, depending on our discussion in there. And but at this time, I would entertain a motion for council for personnel matters to consider appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee per Zinnia Codified Ordinance 206-04 and 121.22. Have a motion.
As well as a property matter.
And we do have
Actually,
information.
Mr. President, what we would ask that be added to that motion is to confer with your legal counsel on a pending case.
Thank you very much.
I would move all the above.
Okay, City Clerk, did you get that? Thank you very much. Okay, and we have a motion by Vice President Wallace.
Second.
And a second by Councilman Scrivens. Any comments?
Just before we go, I'd like to thank the Xenia Police Department for their presence, and duly noted, and we appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank everyone that's watching tonight and those that are in the audience. Thank you for your
And Dan has
attendance tonight. Yeah, and so noted, our chaplain for tonight is in the audience. We moved the time to 6. I'm sorry. We'll catch you. We had someone fill in for you, so thank you very much. Okay. All right. Roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Branham?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much.